Welcome to another edition of the Backyard Professor videos. I'm Kerry Shirts, the Backyard Professor. I'm running a little behind on some things. I've got to go get some things cleared up at work. I'm doing this on my own time, so I don't have time to actually go out and produce a beautiful video with you. So I thought I'd put my camera right in my truck, and on my way over there, I've got some information I want to share with you. I'm feeling I'm feeling inspired to share a couple of my missionary experiences with you, as well as give you some ideas on how to deal with the critics on the internet when we run across them. And so I'm gonna share some ideas with you, some of my life philosophy that I've studied and learned through experience as well as through my books. And I'm going to share a couple of mission experiences. I was about 2 weeks into my mission. I've learned how to do some tracting, and that was kind of fun. Kind of fun. Okay, tracting sucked, okay? But still, you're out there doing the Lord's work. And it's fun anyway, so there. It was a great experience. I went to the Missouri-St. Louis mission. Well, we tracted out this Baptist preacher, and he invited us in. He was very friendly, very nice. And let me make sure I can adjust my camera here. And he fed us dinner even. It was wonderful. After dinner, he took us down into the basement to show us his study and share some of his books and stuff with us. He showed us this big map on the wall. It was a huge map. And it was a world map of all of the world's languages that had ever existed. And, I mean, you had all the European maps, all the European languages, the Hamitic languages in the Afro-Hamitic section in Africa, dozens and dozens of languages, all over in China and Japan and in the Americas and down in Egypt and so on and so forth. He said, you know, you can see Hebrew and there's Sanskrit and Swahili and there's the Egyptian hieroglyphic and the Demotic and the Hieratic and all that jazz, you know. He said, do you see Reformed Egyptian on there? And I looked, I said, well, no. And he said, Reformed Egyptian, the significance of this world map with languages is that Reformed Egyptian is not a known language. Joseph Smith has conned you. You are following a false prophet. The Book of Mormon is false. Joseph Smith made it up. Every known language in the world is on this map. And I thought, wow. So I took another second good look on that map. And sure enough, Reformed Egyptian was not on that map. And that stunned me. And he said, gentlemen, I would find out the truth of the Book of Mormon if I were you. And I'd do it fast before you waste 2 years of your life. So I told my companion on the way home, I said, I have to know the answer. I have to find the answer to this. This is serious. This man just destroyed the Book of Mormon in front of us. And Elder Cox, who was my companion, a wonderful man, he said, well, Elder Shirts, don't get excited. And I said, I'm not excited. I'm completely devastated. I have to have the answer, or I'm heading on the jet plane in the morning. I'm going to go home and I'm going to read the Book of Mormon. You can do whatever you want. All mission rules are off. I have to find this answer. I'm not going to waste 2 years of my life teaching something false. So he said, well, that'll give me a chance to do some laundry and things like that. And I said, you can do whatever you want. I'm going to read the Book of Mormon. And so I did. I started reading the Book of Mormon that night, and I didn't eat dinner. I skipped the snacks. You know, we'd had dinner with him, and I did not go to bed. I read the Book of Mormon that entire night. And about 5 o'clock in the morning, I finally ended up in Mormon 9, 32 through 34, where Mormon had claimed we would have written in the Hebrew, but we've changed that among us, and we would have written in the Egyptian, but we've reformed it among us so that no other peoples know our language. And that's why God has prepared the interpretation for our language for the translation another time. I said, wow, that's the answer. So I went and showed Elder Cox. He goes, Elder Shirts, I'm impressed. That's pretty good. That is the answer. Let's go back to that Baptist preacher and share it with him. And I said, absolutely. So we went back to the Baptist preacher the next day, that morning. And I showed him that answer at Mormon 9, and I said, here's why Reformed Egyptian isn't on that map. Because it's not a world language. It's a language that the Nephites called, that they changed from the original Egyptian, which is on that map. And the Hebrew they changed also, and the Hebrew is on that map. That's why the Reformed Egyptian isn't there. It's the Nephites' version only. It's not a world-renowned language. Now, do you believe the Book of Mormon? And of course he didn't. But I told him, I said, thank you for bringing this up, so that I could study the Book of Mormon for myself, and so I could find the answer. I had to find the answer. And I prayed to the Lord, please provide an answer for me. I'm going to read this Book of Mormon until I find an answer. Tonight, or I'm going home. And I got the answer. I was grateful for that challenge, because it helped me understand the Book of Mormon more clearly. Because I went back to the Book of Mormon and I looked. I didn't just give up. I didn't just accept his word for it. I found out myself. Another experience a little later, we were in Nauvoo. Nauvoo was in our mission at that point. And we were there for a 3-day mission conference, kind of a rejuvenate your spirit type thing. And the last day, after touring the wonderful church history sites and all that, really awesome to do, I was standing in the little, it was a combination bookstore, gas station, sort of a snack, quick food joint, and kind of tiny. And I was looking at the books, and a book caught my eye. And the reason this book caught my eye was because it came off of the shelf right up to my face and then went right back onto the shelf. And I thought, whoa. I looked around to see if anybody else had noticed. And I thought, I have to have that book. So I bought the book. And we were about 8 hours from our area. And I took that time to read that book. And I read it cover to cover. By the time we got home, I had finished the book. And I was absolutely electrified. I was so stunned by all of these hundreds of phenomenal insights into the Book of Mormon that I had never supposed before. Wow, I mean, talk about a breath of fresh air. Well, it was Hugh Nibley's book, An Approach to the Book of Mormon. It used to be it was a Melchizedek Priesthood Manual in 1957. And I told the Lord, I said, I have got to have more of this guy's writings, because I could see in the footnotes. I even read the footnotes. The footnotes are spectacular. I was just astonished that someone this intelligent was writing so vastly on this fabulous Book of Mormon. I couldn't wait to get back into the Book of Mormon, and I did. Because of that experience, and because of this Baptist minister trying to refute the Reformed Egyptian of the Book of Mormon and telling me Joseph Smith was a con man, I read the Book of Mormon once a month, every month on my mission. About had it memorized at one time, and I've read it several dozen times since. I don't know how many times, that's irrelevant. I've continued reading it through the years. And every time I read it, I get something more out of it. I get a better appreciation for its context, its complexity, its message, its emphasis, its evidences, and then I read a lot of books about it also. So I was telling a doctor about it in my ward back there. I was in Peoria, Illinois at the time. And he said, oh, hey, if you like that book, you're going to love this one, too. It's another Hugh Nibley book. And he pulls this book off the shelf, and it's his book, Since Cumorah. And I said, I've got to have that book. I have to have that book. So he made a photocopy of it for me. That was awful nice of him. I said, thank you very much. And, of course, I read it several times, too, while I was on my mission. Yeah, I read it, among other texts with the scriptures. And the point that I want to make is that the Book of Mormon has answers. if we run across a criticism about the Book of Mormon, against the Book of Mormon, which we will do on the internet, there's no question about that, it doesn't mean that the Book of Mormon's false if the critic is asking a question. A lot of critics assume that in the process of asking the question, they are refuting the Book of Mormon. For instance,